Well, let's talk about that. So, I mean, I've got to admit, I think I see you in a dropship maybe, I don't know, once every 3 matches, maybe two, maybe once every 4 matches. I think I see you in lasers and heavy suits and commandos and that.
Depends on the map. I'm in a map that's. I'll help. Delboy needs help because he only wants to play in the tank.
Delboy does need help, though. Let's face it, Delboy needs a lot of help.
He feels frustrated if he doesn't have air support. So I try sometimes to bring in air support, even though I think the best thing to do would be on the ground with you guys.
Yeah.
But Delboy might feel frustration at the game and might leave, and we all sometimes need to support each other. So that's why I do that. But I'm happy. The only thing, like you correctly pointed out, tanks is a huge hole in my. I'm quite bad. The problem is I'm bad at it.
Why is that though? What's the issue with them? What do you find difficult about them?
The control system's difficult.
On the controller or mouse and keyboard?
On the controller. Whenever I do tend to use it, I try and use mouse and keyboard for the steering. I tend to find that instead of turning left, I end up going slightly forward slowly instead of left. So I struggle with the controls.
So you crab you across the map like a.
Yeah. So I mean, I have played in the tank and I have enjoyed it, particularly the missile tank. I like being out there on the battlefield, having the fight. Being on the front line. But I'm not particularly good at it. But I do understand, the modules. I do understand what it's like to be hit in a tank. I do understand what the maps look like from that perspective. I do understand that you get more elevation when you in third-person view than you do in first-person view.
I can see tanking being changed again, though, considering what it was in its first generation, which was a very powerful kind of, unicorn that prounces into the map and kills a shitload of people. And I remember running from tanks pretty much for about 6 months. Then they changed them, only recently, in fact, to be, I guess, disposable. It's almost like you use the tank, it dies, you throw it away. You get another tank, you throw it away. They became like 3D printed tanks. You just keep churning them out and using them. But part of me feels it needs to go back a little bit. I don't know.
A little bit, but not too far.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like any other drop suit. Like when we're playing on the ground and I'm running around with my laser and some guys in the distance, and then you say, right, we're going to go over there and we're going to go into the building, so that if I die again, I'll come back in a heavy. But vehicle users don't have that option. So they need the right to say, right, I'm going to bring this tank in. Okay, now I need this one. They need a variety to their playstyle, just like everybody else has. So they don't necessarily need to be super powerful, one-role vehicles, one-role instruments. They can be a tool that can achieve lots of different things, but not to be brilliant at everything or better than infantry in whatever it is they choose to do.
See, that's it, right? They totally. This is what I don't get about CCP, right? Is they balance Eve like crazy, and they fuck up. Let's be honest, but they still balance it quite well. With Dust, I think they were kind of balancing it well to begin with, but then it's like they were buggering off on holiday and gave up, and all of a sudden you had just every fit in the game became kind of incredibly lopsided. It's like they've kind of got two fat guys on a seesaw, and it's just constantly one way up or the other. It's never just almost level or just slightly up or down. They've never really got it right in this game. Maybe it's because there's not enough vehicles.
Well, I think it's partly the fact that the way the maps work, the map design, and the fact that vehicles don't have a role. Imagine we're in another game. It's just like Dust, but it's in another universe. And at the beginning of the match, there's 2 ways to the point, but one way is blocked by a massive door, and when you kill the door, it drops down, and it makes a bridge. But only a tank can knock it down. Or there's a shortcut.
Seriously, you're talking PlanetSide there. That's exactly how it is in PlanetSide.
There's another way to the point, but it's a minefield. But if a tank rolls through in front of you, all the mines blow up and you can follow it through. So then there's a purpose for the tank to exist. It isn't just there to kill things. It can make your team get to the point quicker. The same way that dropships can drop you off quicker, or LAVs can drop you off quicker. So the tank has a purpose. If it's there, it can make the map, it can open areas of the map that wouldn't be available before. It can speed you up. But what we have is exactly the same maps, but you have a tank and an infantry player, and they're the same. Their role is, there's the enemy, go get them. And tanks are just slayers.
All right, here's an idea, and this is something that I was, I actually had a dream about. Don't judge me on this, but I had a dream.
Don't judge you, you know who I am, right?
That was a pun. I had this dream, right, that I was strapped into the seat of a dropship that you were flying. Yes, you feature in my dreams. You should be honoured. and you were flying it over. You're in the cockpit, but I'm not going to carry on with that any further. But anyway, back to the point. We were flying over Skim Junction, and as we're doing this, my harnesses weren't on tight enough, so I was actually able to fire out the dropship. So as this, and all of us had the same problem. So basically, there was like 6 people, and you were flying it, and basically all we were doing was sat above the map, firing down with lasers and firing down with flaylocks and all the different guns, even plasmas. And we were killing people, and we were sort of sat there laughing, saying, "Oh my god, we broke the game." And then I woke up, and I just felt really like, empowered by that. Do you think that's something we should look at?
Yeah, I mean, we could make them stronger. But speaking when I play on the ground, it's a bit like when you get shot from behind by a cloaked scout. It's a bit frustrating to have a really good fight that you're having with someone else interfered with by a dropship. So we have to be very careful that they're not made too powerful against infantry. But I would have no problem if you limited my abilities as the pilot to do anything but fly it, and gave the abilities that make the dropship do something like available to the people who actually are in it. Now let's say my dropship is just an empty shell. I'm flying it, but you get in and you're a logi, so suddenly my ship can heal you if I land next to people. But then you get out and that stops. Or you get in and you're a heavy, so my armor goes up. Or my side turrets become slightly stronger because you can mount your gun to it. So in some way you make my dropship a team tool. It becomes stronger when I play with the team. Maybe like you say, you can sit in it and fire out, but my abilities are heightened by you being with me than me just being on my own. I'm just one man in a powerful ship. I can be in it, but if there's no one in it with me, I'm useless. I can't fire. I can't do anything. So, teams working together.
Yeah. One of the things surely with Legion, and we're not really taught Legion, but Legion is going to be, like, in theory, it's going to have more kind of capability there. The one that got me was there's clone reanimation units for vehicles in the game, right? But they're so kind of prohibitive, and they're just so difficult to fit. Nobody really uses them, and when you do, it's kind of like a comedy fit on a Soma that's just of driving around cardboard box that's going to get shot. I was thinking one of the things I'd like to see is things like LAVs having clone stations, or just that kind of thing, because at the moment it feels like the problem I have with Dust is a little bit. Spawn pads make it so it's very difficult to kind of there's no front in any battle, so you're kind of attacked from all angles. And I thought if there was an ability for tanks, dropships, or even a medium assault vehicle, should they ever appear in Legion, just to have that ability, like say, to be a proper base, so you could like properly spawn from it and then refit and equip from it. I always like this idea of a deployed state that you could use. It just felt like they didn't do much with that next level of thinking of how the gang would use a vehicle.
No, they consider the vehicles used to be a transportation. It's while it was moving that it has a use. It's something I covered in a video from quite a while back. I was suggesting that maybe if a dropship lands, then it becomes like a supply depot. Maybe you can base that on modules. Maybe it just happens,
nice. Yeah, I like that.
So that maybe there are no supply depots on the map, or they're limited, or they become more powerful. But like if I land my dropship, I'm very vulnerable, obviously, because I'm sat on the ground, but while I'm there, people can spawn on me, but if I take off, they can't. While I'm landed, their ammo's resupplied, or they're healed if they're standing near me. So instead of just being a vehicle that carries them there and then leaves, if I stay and they protect me, I become a powerful asset to the team. So just kind of vehicle roles. I know a lot of these ideas are very fanciful, and I don't know if that's really something possible to fit into Dust, but it is possible to look at vehicle roles in Dust using the current tools we have and maybe the current limitations the developers have. So we can do something to change the role of vehicles to make them less simple, like fly, kill, leave, or fly, deliver, leave. So, while I may mention these interesting ideas, I think we also have to remember that we shouldn't focus our energy maybe on Dust, on trying to get fanciful ideas implemented when there are serious simple things that have been bothering us for a long time that should be covered first, like hit detection, and the people are still firing from cloak to this day.
Yeah, so, I got a brilliant video earlier of a guy. I saw him running across as well, and I'm like, oh, here we go. So I kind of readied my plasma cannon, and I kind of saw him maybe like 40 meters away, and I'm like, well, he's way off yet, but he sees me and he's coming for me, and I could see him, the shimmer getting closer. And I then switched to my Flaylock, and I switched back, and all of a sudden he's right in front of me, and he shot me, and I'm dead. And I was like, hang on, I must, maybe I had kind of narcolepsy for 30 seconds there or something. But I looked back at the footage, and he must have been lagging, because all of a sudden he jibbed immediately forward, and he was stood in front of me, and the shot was him firing at me, completely cloaked.
Yeah, I think cloaks are they're a very fun thing. They change the battle. It's frustrating when they come up behind you and kill you, but it's always frustrating to die. We have to remember that just because you were killed by that thing, it's that frustration you feel is the frustration of death more often than the frustration of the method that you were killed with. We all get excited in battle, but cloaks particularly, they're a very powerful tool, but they become more powerful when they combine with other things. And what we have to do is balance the cloak with the tools that are being used with it, not the cloak just on its own. The shotgun, in my opinion, was a very powerful weapon, and it was powerful because it was really hard to get close to people and use it. So when you did get close, you needed to get them down quick and be rewarded for getting close. But the cloak has made getting close easy. So the power of the shotgun combined with the cloak has perhaps distorted the power of both items. So some items in the game should be balanced with each other rather than just individually. And that's a mistake I think CCP is making, particularly with dropships and tanks, particularly with the cloak and the shotgun, particularly with rail rifles, hit points. Sometimes just saying, right, we'll just reduce the damage doesn't help, because that's not the real cause of the problem.
Well, that's it. I don't think CCP have ever taken a holistic view of the game when it comes to balance. They've just said, Flaylock's overpowered, let's nerf it, done, right? We're done now. So they can kind of brush their hands and say, done, finished. The Flaylock is now balanced, and then it becomes the worst gun in the game that nobody uses. So, yeah, I hear what you say. I think there's a whole journey there to be had, but we're not going to solve that one today. So here you go, then. You're a man of the industry. What do CCP have to do with Dust right now and their community? What should they do?
Well, the game is still live, and as far as we know, there's no other games coming that have been greenlit. So from a professional point of view, this is the project. There is a budget for it. There is a market for it. It's live. And there are people who are paying to use it and people who are actively using it. And they should be looked after. So while we can keep an eye on the future for things like Legion, we don't treat Legion as the thing we're going to do. Dust is the thing we're doing. That's where our focus should be. Until such time that we're told Dust is turned off, it should be treated as live. And the people who play it should be respected as customers who've been given a promise of a product and who are to be treated as if that they are important. I think we need to make sure that Dust is the focus in CCP's future for now, because as far as we're concerned, there is no other future at the moment.
That's a good point. That's what concerns me a little bit. When I did my kind of desktop exercise of a lot of the candidates, I mean, there's a lot of excitement about Legion that cannot be denied, and I think a lot of players really want it to come, because a lot of the what's interesting is a lot of the CPM that are running have come from Eve. They're players of Eve who played Dust. They went through Eve to Dust, and that's actually needed. That's incredibly important. But what I think doubly important is that the focus right now needs to be on Dust, as you say, and I agree with that. And I think this is where having players like you and Tesfer, and I think I'm trying to think of some others actually. I think even Mosselia, I think you've all come through other games like Mag and Planetary 2 and others into this game, and you're seeing it from maybe a different mindset. Because I think the issue that is going to be, I think, a big issue with CCP, given that they seem to be having troubles commercially right now, is eventually I think they'll come to the CPM and say, we can't afford Dust anymore. What can we do? What would the community say? And I think that could be a question you're asked.
I think we should definitely protect Dust and protest if CCP to say, if I was in a meeting and CCP said, right, tomorrow we're going to shut it down, I would fight for them not to do so. But we have to be realistic. So we can fight reasonably, but we mustn't just assume that if I shout hard enough and the community shouts hard enough, that it's going to be on the PS4, or it's going to be available to play on a cheap PC that costs $200 or £120. So be careful of listening to people who make promises to fight for Dust on the PS4, or for Legion to be low spec, or for Dust to go on for years, because in reality, while the CPM is an influential and powerful tool, there are people who are in charge, and they can just say no. The reality is there are budgets, there are timetables, there are staff counts. All of these things exist, and sometimes you can't just manipulate them to get what you want.
I'm glad you said that, because yeah, I mean, to be honest, you and I have spoken about this before, and I think that it is a business, and I'm really glad that that's kind of that's the thing. I think you're probably one of the only candidates I saw who's even understood that. Now I'm going to get flamed for saying that, because I'm sure a lot of people have, but they've not publicly acknowledged the business aspect here. Is that, quite frankly, if Dust is not making money, or if it's not popular, or if there's a problem with it, it's very little to see. It's very difficult to see what more can be done from a commercial point of view, given that they've tried to market it and it's not really gone anywhere, given that it's a free-to-play game, which usually should see tens of thousands of people try it. And I think at the most we had 9,000 people at one point. To be honest, there's something in Dust's, I don't know, DNA that hasn't been successful, and that's evidenced by the fact that it's pretty much going to be superseded by a PC version on Legion. Now, I don't know what that is, and we haven't got time to talk about it now, but I think, to me, that should be almost a core part of the first discussion that the CPM should have, is to do a proper business analyst style review of why Dust is in the position it's in.
No, and we don't know at the moment. We just don't know. They could do it tomorrow. They can literally flick a switch and turn off the servers and say, post on the forums, we're sorry, but we've decided that it's shut down, and it's gone. It is within their remit. It is something they can do. So.
Well, that's why the CPM is such an important role. I think it has to be more than just and I don't mean, I'm not calling you out here. I think it has to be more than just a collection of quote fanboys. It has to be a group of people who, and this is why I've been quite particular in my, I guess, criteria who I think I would vote for, is I kind of want people on there who have the edge and the ability to kind of influence CCP to the point where they can have those difficult discussions. My worst fear is that CCP turn around, and they have obviously done this in CPM 0. We found out after the fact they did this. They turned around to CPM 0 and said, sorry guys, Dust is over, right? We're going to replace it with Legion, and it's going to be like this. And I bet you they did it as a big smile on their face, expecting the people in the room to be happy about that. Well, they weren't. Half of them resigned, half of them raged and quit, and so on. So to be honest, CCP, again, kind of balls that up. My desire is that, well, my kind of foresight is that's going to happen again at some point, where they're going to say, right, it's time to transition. A project is going to begin with start and end milestones that will basically be a collection of events and activities to get you from first principles all the way through a series of deliverables to the end point, which is Dust being switched off and Legion being the product. And I think for that to happen, we need the right people with the right kind of mindset, who understand projects, understand, the kind of difficulties that are going to happen here, but also are realistic, because we don't want white knights, we don't want fanboys, we want, I guess, professionals. And I think that's certainly what I saw with you.
I appreciate that, because I think it's important, and I probably think there's people listening to that who think that sounds boring, because we should be talking about all the wonderful things that can be done, all these beautiful changes to the maps or the weapons or whatever, but the reality is that sometimes you need to sit down and look at this from quite a serious business perspective, that the actions that need to be taken are sometimes difficult. At the same time, that we have to remember this is a fun game, and I really do like the game. I really do. I mean, I log in every night. I play for hours every night. So while there's this business side to it too, I also look at it from the other side, which is it's awesome to play, and I want people to have fun playing it. And I want them to be treated fairly by CCP, because they spent money on it. They've put their time into it. CCP have made promises to them. And so CCP should feel bad when they break those promises. And we should make CCP feel bad. They should be held accountable. Yeah,
you're right. They should be held. Somebody needs to actually hold them to their word and hold them, as you say, accountable. So I think that's a great place to end. Any final comments?
Only that the elections are obviously active now, and that you should vote. It's quite easy. You go to the website, you go to the portal, you choose your candidates, and you're done. And I really encourage everybody to take part. It doesn't matter who you vote for, really. in terms of the fact that if you don't vote, then there are people getting onto the CPM that you may not want there. And these people will be making decisions about what the game is like in the future. Obviously, I want people to vote for me, but I want them to make sure they think about what they're doing, and I want them to take part more than I want them to make sure that it's just me. When the elections are open, which is now, it's simple. Log in, vote, done, play dust.
So there we go. That was Judge Rhamanthus. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Some interesting chat indeed. We're going to continue these little, I guess, interviews. They're not really interviews. It's just me having a natter with them. Post in the comments. Tell me what maybe you would like to see on the next one. On the next one, we're going to talk to Tesfa Alem. Post in the comments if you have any questions for Tesfa. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.